The frontier is overrun by the balloons, and it's scaring away the citizens of Sandytown. But luckily, we are the new sheriff in town, and it's our job to protect the land from being destroyed by the balloons. So join me as I 100% Frontier Legends by completing the entire campaign, defeat the elite version of every boss, along with hiring, fishing, and walking my way through all 12 feats. But without further ado, let's get right into it. The story begins with the sheriff emerging from his tent after having minor struggles falling asleep. So they decide to go for a quick walk across the creek. And by quick, I mean less than 10 seconds because somebody was in trouble.
Psst, hey, over here.
I'm sorry. What? Scout thanked us for saving them from the oblivious red balloon before telling us why he was here in the first place. Turns out Sandytown's mayor has developed a sweet tooth and started eating all the banana cookies. His addiction is so strong that he had been out scouting the scout, forcing him to store them far out of town. And when he went to check on the banana cookies, it got dark, hence why we had to save him. I agreed to take him back to Sandytown, but I immediately got distracted hunting down the red balloon that attacked Scout. I'm very good at keeping my word, but that duel seemingly paid off, since I got a free key out of it, which I used to open a chest near my campfire, granting a large amount of Balloon Night.
Barely even finished the tutorial and I've got 2k.
When I eventually caught up with Scout, we found the trail was blocked by a bunch of rocks. Allegedly it wasn't blocked when he passed it before, but a swift snipe of the dynamite balloon quickly solved that problem. Upon arriving to Sandytown, we got flashbanged by the midday sun. But more importantly, we met the mayor in a cornfield just north of the town. He told us that the balloons jumped past the barriers when he was scoffing down on a couple of banana cookies, that Scout quickly corrected weren't his, before running off to get his next fix of banana cookies, leaving me to fend off all the balloons by myself.
This town ain't big enough for the
Smooth. Real smooth. I made my best effort to not fail the following balloon encounters because it would be very embarrassing, and I headed off to middle of the road to pop a couple of waves of balloons.
Pearl, what are you doing? No,
Oh, okay. My newfound friends then ran off to get some fresh cactus juice at the saloon, and the mayor congratulated us for our efforts while shoving a banana cookie down his gullet.
Mate, munch-ing.
They then told Sandytown's cool-ass backstory, where the previous sheriff left peacefully on his own accord,
Didn't he say he was stressed?
before using us as the scapegoat for his mismanagement of the town's crop money. What an outstanding individual. Anyways, the mayor gave us a brief rundown on how we can modify our sheriff, posse, and pet in the homestead.
That's very nice and all, Mr. Mayor, but I never agreed to... Oh, you must see the saloon!
I then used my newly acquired key to open the chest, and it yielded me a new bowler's hat that improves the range and projectile speed of monkeys inside the sheriff's range. And I swapped my armadillo out for Rosalia's dog. I hope she doesn't mind. The mayor then introduced us to the saloon, where we can hire new monkeys and heroes to join our posse, in which I picked up Rapid Fire Brady due to his excellent set of stats. I also re-rolled to see if there's something good, in which Tootie appeared, but he was too expensive, so I took a gander at the heroes. Some of them were more interesting than others.
Is Ninja Kiri seriously implying that this is just Adora coated in molasses?
However, I also recently got the crossover skins, and I can confirm that they have their own unique kits compared to their base counterparts.
Oh, the paid ones have different kits. Wow, that's actually surprising. I thought Ninja Kiri weren't going to do that. Because they didn't do that for Rogue.
I then re-rolled the shop again, but I decided not to purchase anything and set off to the general store.
Of course, need to meet the cartel owner, Geraldo.
Despite the slander I gave him, Jerry provides us with all sorts of items, including building upgrades, permanent stat boosts, and a small pool of powers that we can use. The mayor also introduced us to fishing, generously offering us Scout's rod, and a 50-50 split of all bananite earned from it.
So right, any second now I'm going to feel inspired to catch a fish, I take it. You got the 69 fish, fellas. We can go home.
But with the tutorial out of the way, let's head to Boulder Falls. Upon getting there, we were greeted by Dirk, the region's bounty hunter. Apparently Dirk is one of the sharpest shots around. Well, at least when he's had a few too many cactus juices. but he can't pop all the balloons by himself and requested our assistance. So after doing a bit of exploring, we headed to end of the road to pop some balloons.
Nice shooting out there. Not so bad yourself. Yeah, I know.
We then had another fight in Scrapyard, where Dirk generously gave us a dynamite stick he didn't want.
Yay! New weapon.
I then mined a bit of bananite and rested at the campfire to recover some stamina. We still heard explosions in the distance, so we cleared 3 mines around and cracked off the pesky balloons. During that time, I made use of the new dynamite stick, which is just a mini sticky bomb, and upgraded Clive to a 302 because he needed the extra firepower. And then took a brief break to restore some more stamina, and headed off to Mesa for yet another balloon encounter. Dirk then said to meet up with him at Sunset Gulch, but I was a bit tired of doing balloon encounters, so I took a brief break at Sandytown, where I picked up a wizard with good stats. Little did I know I had 2 Bradys on my team, but don't worry, I'll settle that confusion later. Heading back to Sunset Gulch, Scout had to look for something, so Dirk and I had to clear the map without his assistance. When we returned though, Scout was gone, so we had to go looking for him. Turns out Scout was searching for a source of these balloons. But before he could explain further, we were interrupted by some explosions, so we had to go to Tricky Tracks to deal with them.
Old spotter, we got to... Who's this guy?
Scout still didn't have any luck finding the source of the balloons, so Dirk suggested looking for Hazel, and we parted ways. Scout knows that Hazel likes to hang out near the Bazaar trading post, so we set off to find her there. But when we got there ourselves, we found that the mayor was slacking off, as per usual, and the trading post was being attacked by the balloons. Now with Dirk gone, the only assistance we had was from Microscopic Mike, so we're going to need a little more firepower. I upgraded Wizard Brady to 032, which was a good call since we got our first introduction to aura balloons. I then took a brief saloon pit stop and picked up a really good Desperado, while also renaming the team.
Now let me introduce the team. We've got Clive, we've got Pearl, we've got Brady, we've got Brody, and Blazing Son of a Bitch.
I also upgraded Blazing Son of a Bit to 310 and Brody to 003 to improve their overall DPS. Heading back to the trading post, the posse cleared Resort and got a new lead that Hazel was near Sulphur Springs. The mayor kindly offered to join us on his holiday, but sees that we're far too busy and rejected it for us. Wow. And we got a neat little bonus after completing that questline.
Super Monkey? Ooh, that's interesting.
Sulphur Springs is south of Sandytown, so Scout Kool-Aid manned his way through the barricades and started a philosophical debate on the definition of a tumbleweed. Isn't it just a weed? See, Sheriff gets it. We then met Hazel for real this time, who introduced herself by scolding us for nearly stepping on a leaf. The reason why Hazel was so hostile about stepping on the leaf was because it had aura balloon tracks on it. Despite the strange introduction, Hazel agreed to help us track down the dynamite balloons, since she recently saw some of their tracks. Upon a quick sniff test, Hazel found that the dynamite balloons were here an hour ago, and if we were quick, we could catch up to them.
Sniff, sniff. Oh, that smells cow monkey.
Maybe leave it to the professionals, Scout. The scent led us to Steambed, where we had to fend off some balloons, but it's nothing that Brady and Brody couldn't handle. Hazel then used the magical power of eating dirt to track down the dynamite balloons to Spar Pits, in which we had another tussle with the balloons. Her digestive tract is either perfect or the worst in monkey history. I'm not betting on which. Nah mate, she's definitely shaving decades off her lifespan doing that. Hazel expanded her tracking buffet to consuming rocks, where its taste led us to a fight at Sulphur Springs. Wanting to get in on the tracking action, the sheriff chowed down on some dirt and made an educated guess that the balloons were moving somewhere northeast. Hazel corrected us in that it was more south, but congratulated them for being half right. So when we got to the barrier, Scout did his thing, and we entered a cave. As expected, the cave was nearly pitch black, but the sheriff's natural glow was enough to illuminate a path. Scout is afraid of the dark and wanted out. Pussy. But after some convincing, he chose to stick around. Hazel lost track of the balloons because apparently everything tastes the same in a cave. So the sheriff flipped a coin on which way to go. I don't know what's scarier, following a rock-eating beast handler, or a monkey that makes choices by flipping a coin, all in the dark. Mate, the choice is between a crackhead and a chronic gambler. It's not that hard. Scout continued to stumble in the dark, causing Hazel to drop her rock. What rock? There's thousands of rocks.
Exactly. How am I supposed to find it now?
Bruh. Anyways, we had a battle in the thematically appropriate underground map, and discovered something extremely concerning. How on the banana blessed earth did this get here? It's like a giant tunnel. I can't even see to either end. It's gigantic.
It's definitely not natural. I can taste it.
If balloons are coming through here, it wouldn't be safe to follow it. We should get out of here before any more can show up.
Oh no.
Sheriff, is everything alright? We should head straight back to Sandytown and report this to Mr. Mayor. I'll fill you in then, too. You're worried? Now I'm worried. Hazel, thanks for your help.
Certainly. Let me know if you need any more of my help for... Ooh, are those stalactites?
Hazel's certainly built different.
Hey, I found my rock.
Bruh. The scouts and the sheriff then climbed out of a convenient ladder and engaged a serious talk with the mayor.
Ah, a serious conversation, is it? Let's go talk to someone more serious then.
Alright. During the conversation, we alerted the mayor that the tracks were similar to the ones the sheriff saw at the town they used to live in, and after a couple of months, the town was lost to the balloons. So we had to eradicate the balloons now if we wanted to save the town. The story jogged the scouts' memory that someone from the Oak Valley was saying that they were suffering from similar supply issues. So we set off to confirm if the citizens know more information about the balloon invasion. Oh yeah! To help guide us through the journey, Scout has gotten in contact with Davina, a local druid who agreed to meet up because the Great Oak Village was experiencing similar issues to what Scout and Sheriff are facing. She believes the balloons are coming from the ancient forest, which is northwest of the Great Oak Village. Davina also warned us of a new balloon type called ringleader balloons, which shield other balloons from damage. While travelling to the Great Oak Village, the gang found that Furlong Fields was overrun by the same balloons that came from the ancient forest, so we had to make a quick detour to save the farm. Hello? Anyone home? Hello? Hello? We cleared in the loop, tree stump and park path of the pesky balloons, before returning to the farmer, which we quickly found out had a name.
Phew, good to see that you're alright there, Farmer McQueedy. He's not much of a talker, but I can tell he's relieved.
Yeah, we can all see the relief in that 1,000-yard stare. After a bit more walking, we reached the Great Oak Village. Davina told us to meet at the south fence when we were ready to start our conquest against the balloons, but she seemed eager to start immediately because she homed in on my location and triggered the cutscene. Despite Davina's persistence, I managed to rest my posse, and I headed towards the town centre to fight off some balloons.
Wait a minute, hold on. I can afford it now, yes! OP single target damage, let's go.
You may not see it in the moment, but this was a huge DPS increase for Blazing Son of a Bit, and they became my main source of DPS for this part of the campaign. We then blitzed through covered garden and hedge, only needing the sheriff's morale when the ringleader balloons showed up. I then took another break, but this time I made use of the sheriff's cabin back at the homestead for the faster stamina regen. I don't know why it took me this long to remember this, but it's better to remember now than near the end of the campaign. I also might as well mention that Tiff is in the posse now, because I needed her Skywalker trait to place monkeys in strange places. But back to the frontier, the town's food supply was being ravaged, so we head to Cornfield to deal with the balloons there. I'm sorry, little one. I'm starting to think I'm doing more damage than the balloons here. Now with the village clear, it was time to set off to the ancient forest. Our first stop was at Monkey Meadows, which for the most part was quite easy like the previous encounters, but that was going to change very quickly. Glass balloons? Okay, Brody is effectively useless, but Blazing Son of a Bitch should handle them. No. No, they didn't. After the brutal introduction to glass balloons, I was a little less lazy with placing down the rest of my posse, and that swiftly fixed the problem in the following encounters. Having a short break from encounters, I upgraded the number of bar stools available and bought a couple of keys for the chests in the Great Oak Village. The first chest gave me a zigzag pistol, which was an instant equip, and the second one gave me some money. After a couple of battles in Downstream and Steam Spring, the party managed to reach the ancient forest. According to Davina, the ancient forest is older than time itself, and apparently fairies live there, despite never seeing one. Being a couple of encounters since my last break, I had another rest at the sheriff's cabin, but this time I browsed the saloon to see if there's some convincing monkeys I could hire. I'm starting to think Ninja Kiwi wants me to use Molasses Adora. Well, the price is tempting. Might as well. You've served us well, Pearl, but sorry, I have to let you go. Now at the molasses-coated Adora, our lineup was becoming nearly unstoppable, cutting through Rake like it's nothing. Davina then sensed the balloons were heading towards the circle, in which we tried to traverse to, but the game said otherwise. Oh. After restarting the game, the circle turned out to be balance, which was a lot easier than Davina was making it out to be. But after all that adventuring, we finally reached the ancient tree. The battle was long, and there were a couple of hard rushes, but we managed to eradicate all the balloons before they destroyed the tree. While we saved these from the balloons, we weren't successful in locating the hole that they were coming from. However, Davina gave us a new lead that they're probably coming from the swamp. Allegedly it was abandoned after a few monkeys reported that they saw ghosts, so it had become infested with balloons. Davina couldn't follow us into the swamps though, because the village needs her to restore the forests, but she told us that it was located on the eastern side of the Great Oak Village. So we said our farewells and rested up. Before heading to the swamps, I decided to do a bit of exploring and bought a couple of keys to open up some chests, in which I managed to score some Balloonite and a stamina reducing poncho. I also found that Blastopopolis was hiding underneath Sulphur Springs, but I decided against fighting it because I was underprepared. Heading back to the Great Oak Village, Scout graced us again with his barrier breaking skills.
Oh yeah.
And we entered the swamp.
I have become Jesus Christ.
As per usual, Scout was a little on edge since he was afraid of ghosts.
Why the next lad have to be here of all places?
I hear you, partner, but this is important. Now stand tall, ghosts aren't real.
Wah.
So I engaged the ghost balloon in the duel.
Well, that was unfortunate.
Okay, I get my reaction speed was abysmal, but how the hell was I supposed to react to that? Anyways, we then had a fight at the Lost Cabin, where we quickly found these ghost balloons are the same glass balloons that we saw in Monkey Meadows. So that was a huge relief for both Scout and Sheriff. However, we weren't out of the woods yet. Ignoring our new stalker, we fought some balloons at Pat's Pond and logs, but we weren't successful in finding the source of the balloons.
What's so funny, Sheriff?
Funny?
Didn't you laugh just now?
I didn't laugh.
Okay, this isn't funny.
Who's there?
I don't like this, Sheriff.
Now we're spooking ourselves. Come on, stay sharp. There's still more of these glass balloons around. We then trudged through Bloonarius Prime, but by the end of it, it was evident that the Sheriff and the Scout were starting to get tired of these battles.
I'm really starting to get sick of this place.
Me too, but if there's a clue around about the tunnels, we need to find it.
I know.
Moving deeper into the swamp, we discovered the crypts with a massive underground section. Down there I encountered some of my first zombie balloons, and the mysterious stalker casually laughing at our presence. I also discovered a marshmallow stick in a chest and found Lich was casually chilling in cubism. With the funds to afford a blazing sun, I decided to go for it, but that proved to be a pointless endeavour because I didn't bring enough support to effectively deal with the chain Moabs.
Yeah, these Moabs are just way too much.
Back to the story, I followed Scout to an abandoned mansion.
Whoa, what's an old mansion doing out here in the middle of the forest? Davina didn't say anything about this.
I don't like it one bit.
Eep.
Not this again.
I don't hear anything anymore. Do you think it's gone? Pretty sure it's following us.
Yeah. Who are you? What do you want with us?
A little while since monkeys came here.
And we shouldn't have come here?
No, you should have brought all those balloons to my doorstep. We need them gone.
After a quick fight in Haunted, our stalker revealed that the other end of the hole was in the swamps, but they were a little vague on its specific location. We then evicted the balloons from the mansion's basement, while also cleansing carved and ancient portal of any balloon activity. But after a quick break, our mysterious friend revealed that the crypts were the main source of these balloons. So we had one last fight on Encrypted, and the balloons didn't hold back at all. It didn't help that our friend took up prime placement space, but we made it out alive with good morale management. Our mysterious friend then led us to the bottom of the crypts, where they suspiciously disappeared on top of a gravestone. Upon further investigation, the grave belonged to Styx, a heroic monkey that saved the town of Midnight well over 100 years ago. Funny. Scout and Sheriff then went off to explore the tunnel alone, and the Sheriff gave another lore drop on what they experienced before the previous town was destroyed. Our mysterious friend then appeared before us for one last time, handed the Sheriff a note, and disappeared.
All it says, thanks, it was fun.
That's it?
It's signed too. Oh,
What is it?
it's signed Styx. Oh.
Scout surprisingly had a tame reaction to this information. With the only ghosts either being downright helpful or made of glass, he realised that they weren't that scary after all. And after a couple of chuckles in honour of Styx, we moved forward with our investigation. Scout then did some complicated maths and determined the next location we should visit is the coast, which is conveniently south of the swamp. When we reached the beach, Scout said we had to follow a trail to reach the main part of the coast, so we had a bit of walking to prepare for. But before setting off, we randomly bumped into Mr. Mayor and Dirk. Apparently Mr. Mayor needed to travel to his holiday home to collect more salt for his salted sage cookies, in which he offered us to taste the extras he made months ago. But before we could respond, he ran away. Dirk was hired to protect Mr. Mayor, so he excused himself and chased after him. When we eventually caught up to Mr. Mayor and Dirk, Mr. Mayor felt inspired to invite himself on the journey to the coast, before going on a long tangent on how he used to sail the seven seas with his girlfriend Maria, a fact that shocked Scout and the Sheriff alike. The Sheriff then urged the Mayor that they really don't need to join us, but luckily Mr. Mayor accidentally locked himself inside his home, so we were allowed to go on ahead without him. The Ridgefall trail was tight, and it did force me into a couple of balloon encounters, one of which being my first Moab, which I unfortunately lost. But after a couple of minutes, we finally reached the main part of the coast. When we got closer to the water, Scout spotted a mermonkey, which is allegedly a creature of myth in these parts. The mermonkey, whose name is Kai, was scared that we spotted him and swam away. While concerning, we had bigger fish to fry, since the coast was being attacked by the balloons. However, this time it was a bit different because I was introduced to retribution balloons.
Retribution balloon? Retribution balloons are immune to getting slowed. Every few hits, the retribution balloon will momentarily stun the attacking monkey. When the balloon is destroyed, the monkey that finished it off is stunned for a few seconds. That sounds like an absolute pain to deal with.
Yes, they were. And with most of my posse being raw DPS towers, they kept stunning themselves, causing me to leak a lot. After some thinking, I started to look at something that stored damage so I can safely take them out while stunned. So I replaced Clive with a necromancer because I thought the zombie balloons were strong enough, but in practice it wasn't consistent enough to be a reliable solution.
Oh boy, that doesn't look good. Yeah, these retribution balloons are absolutely cooking my setup. I'm going to need something to deal with them.
I then remembered at the end of the Swamp Quest line that I unlocked spike factories, so I picked up Tanner from the saloon and upgraded them to a 210. Heading back to the coast, Scout was concerned that the balloons were coming from underneath the ocean, so we had to find a way to travel across the 7 seas. The sheriff spotted a boat docked at the nearby pier and immediately suggested using it. Scout didn't like the idea of stealing somebody's boat, but as the biggest plot twist in the century, the boat had Maria etched on it. That's right fellas, the mayor's girlfriend is a cannon ship. So we commandeered the mayor's boat and travelled to Spice Islands.
Looky here, Mr. Mayor must have felt his water pistol on the Maria.
These are the Spice Islands. I've heard about them.
And it's under attack. If we want them to be more than just a story, we need to go. We then stood our ground and saved the islands from being overrun, and we ran into Kai again.
Look. Hello there.
Why are you following me?
What? Following you?
I can outswim you any day, even in your reassembled treecraft. So don't even try to catch me.
Wait, we have a question about something important. A mermonkey will be really helpful for finding an underwater tunnel. How can we get him to listen?
What do I know about mermonkeys? Sure looked on edge though. Maybe we could follow him from a distance.
Might as well try.
It looks like they're headed up the platform yonder. Let's head that way. From being followed to following monkeys. Oh, how the tables have turned. I then swapped my pistol with the wavy water pistol that the sheriff found on Maria, and upgraded Tanner to a 320 spike balls. Lotus Island was under attack, so we rushed to its aid. Tanner and the new water pistol came in clutch with this mission because spike balls was the perfect solution to retribution balloons, and the pistol's freeze gave me a lot more time to pop Moabs.
There they are. Oh, that's no good. That's an awful lot of balloons.
Didn't think I'd ever see a mermonkey, let alone try saving one. Let's go. With Kai in immediate danger, the posse had to defend him on Polyphemus, while he hid in the eye.
I had it under control.
So what I believe you're trying to say is thank you?
Hey, let's just simmer down. All we want to know is if you've seen an unnatural tunnel around here. Maybe the source of a passel of new balloons? If it's underwater, you might be the only one that had seen it.
A tunnel? You mean you're not... I'm sorry, I thought you two were looking for something else. You described what I've been patrolling. A long stretched out tunnel, right? As if something was digging?
Yes, that's the one.
Yes, it appeared not long ago, and there's been ground tremors too. I didn't see the balloons coming from there, but they have increased in number. If that's all you need to know, I need to get this information to back as soon as possible.
Wait, could you take us to the tunnel? Or tell us where it is? We need to find out more about it. Whatever it is, it's troubling our town up north in the desert.
I'm not sure if that's possible. You say this extends up into the desert?
Please, this is important. We need to put a stop to the damage this thing can do.
This threatens us all then. If I do this for you, both of you must promise me something.
What's that?
Absolute secrecy. The location of my home must remain a secret.
Your home? That tunnel is close to where you live?
Unfortunately. And it's wrestling our home to its foundations. I owe you one after all, I admit. Assisted me earlier.
Well, I promise to keep it a secret.
Same here. We only need to know the tunnel's whereabouts, then we'll leave you alone. Alright, I'll swim in front and lead the way, but you better keep up.
Damn boy, he be sprinting down the beach.
The tunnel isn't far from here. Follow me up the cliff this way.
Wait, I need to ask, can you really breathe underwater?
For as long as I want to, yes.
And is it true that you have sharp teeth? Hey Scout, perhaps a little more scouting and a little less asking. Ah, you're right, I'm just really excited.
And off to the cliffs we go. Hold on, where are you going, Sheriff?
I am really far off track.
Wait, what the hell? Vortex is here? Okay. What are you doing out here? Well, we found a monkey hermit. Another Moab? Yeah, no, I'm not losing to that again. Alright, I've been distracted long enough, let's just go back. When we reached the top of the cliffs though, the balloon situation was a lot worse than we originally thought.
By the sea spirits. There's so many of them. I need to go check on the other monkeys. Can you handle the balloons up here in the meantime?
Don't worry about us, we'll give them what for.
I'll come back and find you as soon as I can.
Now Peninsula was built different. First there was almost no land space, so I had to rely on Tiff's Skywalker trait. But on top of that, the number of BFBs and Retribution balloons were insane. We also faced our first DDTs, but there were only 3 of them, so they didn't pose much of a threat. We then met up with Kai at Sunken Columns, where he had rallied up some of his people to help with the defense. I also had the funds to upgrade Tanner to a spiked mines, so Retribution balloons were a lot easier to deal with. Despite the imminent balloon threat, Scout still thought it was a good time to ask more questions about mermonkeys.
By the way, what kind of food do you eat? Do you like bananas?
Never eaten one of your bananas, but we have a lot of sea nanas.
But even with Scout's distractions, we managed to reach Kai's home, Luminous Cove. And with the assistance of Kai's army, we managed to drive away the balloons for good. Kai then led us to the location of the balloon tunnel, which as he said before, was extremely close to the cave. As a parting gift, Kai then used some mermonkey magic to open a shortcut to the western side of the coast. Mermonkey magic? That looks like dynamite. Scout wanted to meet back in the campfire, but in usual J-Wags fashion, I got a little distracted opening chests. I did manage to get some new items, but none of them were appealing enough to replace any of my current gear. After nearly burning himself at the campfire, Scout needed to head to Frozen Peak to test for balloon activity. When we got to the ladder though, it was covered by a pile of rocks. But luckily, that wasn't going to be the case for long.
Take that, you crumbly rocks! What's wrong with you? You almost blew us out.
Yeah, old mate Rocco here is as deaf as he is crazy, but he agreed to take us up the mountain, while also giving us a black tinfoil hat. Black and tinfoil hat. No, I've got to try this. I've got to try this hat.
All stamina costs reduce 5% when sheriff or posse members retreat, creating an explosion that damages nearby balloons.
I'll just do it for the memes. It's not like extra range is really helping that much.
How good are you fighting balloons?
We can handle ourselves.
Good to hear. There's some diamond balloons up ahead. You'll need a lot of firepower to break them.
At least if you're here, we could sneak around them.
Judging by your silence, I'll take that as you're rearing to go. Yahoo! Boom boom!
So we had a battle on Quarry. Oh, those are the diamond balloons they're talking about. And I'm handling them. That's surprising. Maybe it was just retribution balloons that were the problem. Or I just have set up that's just good against diamond balloons. More of the latter, because my strategy revolves around projectile spam. Okay, let's try this retreat feature. Yeah, that explosion's definitely not gonna cut it.
Now that's how you do it.
Are you sure this is a good idea? This guy seems unhinged.
Nothing's wrong with being a little unhinged.
What are you two lipping about? Get the rocks out of your shoes and let's go.
Alright, right behind you.
Thanks, Rocco.
Was that necessary? The path's already open. Oh, it's necessary to have a little fun. Let's go. Here we are, the frozen peak.
Thanks. Oh, thanks, Rocco.
Anytime. How about we head over to this place called Moon Landing? It just looks that way. It ain't actually in space, don't you worry. Then we should check out if the balloons are up at Pauline Run.
Cool. Now I need to rest. On my way up the mountain, I noticed that there were quite a few chests, so before I forget about them, I made a quick stop to Geraldo's shop and picked up some keys. Most of them contain bananite, but I also got some waders. However, I decided not to equip them because their fishy related buffs weren't particularly helpful. During my travels, I also discovered a secret area with the Sanctuary side mission, and another chest containing a snowy poncho. I decided to equip this one though because it provided a free ice platform, while also increasing the posse's damage to balloons that are frozen, glued, or stunned, which is quite easily utilised thanks to the Sheriff's freezing pistol and some of my posse members' traits. Distractions aside, I fought the balloons on Moon Landing, which went smoothly until the game decided to skip the final round and went into free play.
Wait, what the hell's going on? Why is it doing this?
Backing out and heading back in fixed the problem, but it was a strange bug to say the least. We then had another encounter on Alpine Run, which unlike Moon Landing, ran rather smoothly. The rest of the trail was blocked by the snow, so the encounter was kinda pointless. But Rocco knew another way up the mountain, so he headed back and rested up. I know my current posse is fine, but I wanted to try something new because I've been using the same towers for quite some time now. And Dead Claw Dam was in the shop, so I thought, why don't I give Beast Handlers a try? So let me introduce you to the 3 Beast Handlers I'll be using. Mac and Cheese, my resident top path Beast Handler with extra blint damage and secretly comes with the ability to one-shot all the special balloons, except glass balloons for some reason. Dead Claw Dan, I can't change his name because he's a legendary. He's here to clean up balloons. And Maybe Fodder, a Beast Handler I'm just going to use for the Beast Power, but I occasionally might swap it out for Tiff if I need the Nimbus platform. So I tested Dead Claw Dan and Mac and Cheese on Last Resort, and they performed pretty well. Kind of ironic since Rocco was blabbering about how the resort failed to meet the popularity of the one at the Bazaar trading post. And then tried the Sanctuary side quest, and they also performed quite well there as well. Minus some bugs that are out of my control.
I'm sorry, what? Is it permafrozen?
I then tried using only Beast Handlers on skates, but that's when I started noticing something strange.
Hold on, why are they producing swords? None of them produce swords. That's strange.
I wanted to get to the bottom of this, so I did some testing on the sandbox level that I may or may not have just found out existed.
Alright, so this is 100% a bug, but I didn't actually expect that it was going to be this deep. Turns out Beast Handlers can absorb the traits of other posse members. I know it sounds a bit weird, but let me show you. So I just have Mac and Cheese here, and the only traits it has is Big Blimp Hunter and Rarin. Cool, I guess. But the main thing I'm showing here is that Orca doesn't natively have camo detection. So when I send this ceramic, it just passes. But when I add Greg here, who has the red wristed trait, so he can see camo normally, and when I send a camo ceramic again, the Orca can see it. Strange, huh?
So when I add a posse's worth of buffs, it tends to get a little out of hand. So now it applies molasses and freezes bloons like what Brody does, shoots out swords like Blazing Son of a Bit does, and possesses all the stat buffs of the other members. This is just mac and cheese without any buffs, by the way. You can see the difference. Is this broken? Yes. Is it cheesy to use this? Also yes. But I'm too far in the rabbit hole now. I gotta see how far I can take this. I'm probably just gonna keep to the regular 3 for the rest of the campaign. But when I get to bosses, oh boy, it will be interesting. But back to regular encounters, we had another battle at Frozen Over. But straight after, Rocco decided to sprint away at Mach 10, so we had to catch up to him. We need to go through Dark Path if you wanted to get to Glacial Trail. Stand back. I feel like I got into the wrong profession. Blowing stuff up all the time seems pretty fun. It's clear now, but looking at it, I wish it wasn't. Here we go. This is the only way. We then had another battle at Dark Path, where I found some extra beast handler tech. Yep, and it works with the Nimbus as well. Let's go. Getting a beast handler with the Skywalker trait was now a high priority of mine. Rocco then blew up some rocks for good luck, and we followed him up to Glacial Trail. Rocco then found one of the glaciers was eroding faster than the other, so we had to eradicate the balloons from there. You a fan of his explosions now, Scout? Okay, maybe I was a little too critical earlier. Yahoo, I love my job. Rocco then blew another hole to open up the entrance to Lost Crevasse, and we walked inside. Despite having 2 barrels strapped to his back, Rocco still managed to beat us to the tunnel. When we eventually caught up though, we had a long battle in Lost Crevasse, and Rocco decided to jump scare us at the end. Scout then wrote down the coordinates of the tunnel, and we got the hell out of there before Rocco caused a cave-in. When we returned to Sandytown, the mayor apologised for getting himself stuck in his holiday home. But more importantly, Scout reported that all the tunnels that we have discovered so far appear to be heading north near the temple. So Scout said to gather any supplies we need, and meet them back at Tricky Tracks. But before doing that, I wanted to test my posse was strong enough to beat all the main bosses. So I went down to the crypts and fought Lich. Well, that was easy. So how about we do it again? And again. And again. And oh hi Meg. Holy shit! Yeah, purchasing Megalodon was overkill for normal bosses, but I wanted to try it out on the others. Blastopopolis and Vortex were first on the list since I knew where they were, and they were easily melted thanks to the Meg and Nimbus combo. After locating Phase and Bloonarius with the wiki, they were also relatively easy thanks to Megalodon. But Dreadbloon was different from the others. Firstly, it's located in the Sunken Desert, which is only accessed through traversing the Frontier's massive cave system. But more notably, it has the support immunity phase, so I had to rely on Blazing Son of a Bit to finish it off. During my time in the Sunken Desert, I also located a hat that increases the posse's damage to mobs and boss balloons, while also playing the 4 Circles side mission. Given that the basic bosses didn't put up much of a fight, I felt purchasing my Meg was overkill for the non-elite versions. But we still have 1 boss left to deal with, so I used my recently acquired cash to swap out Tanner and some of my beast handlers with monkeys with better perks, and headed to Tricky Tracks to follow the team to the temple. The outside area was swarmed with balloons, so we had to clear the area, but when we got inside, Diamondback was waiting for us in chutes. Heading into this battle with nothing but teaser footage, the spawned diamond balloons caught me off guard at first. However, with some morale management, I managed to beat tier 1 easily. But Diamondback wasn't ready to give up so soon, since it fled the temple and led us on a massive pursuit across the frontier. We fought Diamondback on Lost Crevasse, Encrypted, and Underground, getting stronger each time we defeated. But somehow, they still managed to escape our grasp each time. Diamondback then resurfaced at Sandytown, ready for one last battle. With everyone's support, we were obliterating Diamondback's health, but something was wrong. Diamond balloons. I didn't know this at the time, but the number of diamond balloons spawned from skull activations ramped up by a significant amount at tier 5, so my posse was swiftly overwhelmed. So I grinded for a bit and upgraded the Bulwark to Supermines, maxed out the Sheriff, and brought Tanner out of retirement. And as per usual, it was slightly overkill, but it got the job done and Diamondback was defeated. The mayor congratulated all of us for our efforts, and offered a free round of cactus juice to celebrate. The main heroes then connected with each other based on their shared interests. Mr. Mayor and Rocco linked through their enjoyment of jokes, Dirk and Styx for being renowned heroes, along with Davina and Kai for their shared devotion of preserving the land and the sea. The camera then pans to the sheriff and the scout, who are collectively relieved that this is all over, and headed to the saloon to share another cold pint of cactus juice. And that is the end of the campaign. But to 100% the DLC, there is still endgame content I need to complete. By completing the story, every encounter is upgraded to an elite version with harder rounds and rewards you with a black border after completing them. To be honest, I can't be bothered doing all the story missions again, because it'll just be 6 hours of this, but the boss missions are upgraded from normal to elite, making them a lot more interesting to play. Obviously I knocked off Lich first because it's on the easiest map, rewarding me with a nice 27k. I then took on Vortex, which was also rather easy since Meg stun-locked it at spawn. But moments before I won, Retribution Bloons stunned my entire setup, and I lost to a bunch of Diamond Bloons. Bruh. So I swapped one of my beast handlers for Doubloon's Druid, upgrading it to Spirit of the Forest, and it fixed the problem instantly. After the battle, I was still itching for a beast handler with the Skywalker trait, but after a couple of minutes of searching the saloon, something else caught my eye. This Desperado had the same Fang trait as Blazing Son of a Bit, but it traded its extra size and blimp damage for the Skywalker trait. So I swapped it out for my current Blazing Son of a Bit, freeing an extra slot for something else that does damage. I then continue my pursuit against other bosses, beating Bloonarius, Blastopopolis, and FaZe in a quick succession without any struggles. When I got to Dreadbloon though, oh boy. Anticipating the class resistances, I needed something to help out the support immunity, because Blazing Son of a Bit wasn't going to cut it. So I grabbed this Super Monkey and upgraded it to a Dark Champion. However, it simply wasn't enough, and I ran out of time before I could get enough damage in to finish it off. So I called in the proposition, and it was the solution. Now that leaves one boss left, Diamondback. I swapped the proposition back to the Spirit of the Forest because of Diamond Bloons, and headed straight into battle. Since it was on an easy map, the battle was rather easy, but I will admit that it was a little close. Now with bosses out of the way, there's only one thing left to do. Achievements. At this stage I completed most of them except 5. 2 for spending money at the saloon and general store, 2 for fishing, and 1 for walking. The money achievements were simply completed through farming Lich for a bit and spending the Blue Knight in their respective stores. Recruiting 1,000 posse members though took a solid hour of hiring and firing. Fishing though wasn't so easy. Although all you have to do was complete the collection and get a shiny legendary fish, due to a lack of foresight on Ninja Kiwi's part, they made it extremely tedious to grind out the fish. Outside the tutorial, I didn't really bother fishing, so I effectively started with a blank slate. But after about 2 hours with the legendary rod, I managed to get most of the collection, including all the common, rare, and even some legendary fish. Junk only has 1% chance of being fished up with the legendary rod, so I had to spend another 45 minutes with the regular rod getting all 8 entries. This included the rarer commission pineapple, which only has a 5% chance of dropping. That leaves 3 legendary fish I need to collect. Now even with the best rod, they only have a 15% chance of appearing, which isn't that bad. The problem is that the probabilities of getting each fish in the class aren't even at all. The true Sun God was the first I managed to fish up. With a 5% chance of showing up, it takes around 3.5 hours to get my first attempt, and luckily, I managed to get it.
Holy shit, no way I got it.
Fortified Regrow Red took me a lot longer to fish up because it only has a 1% chance. And let me tell you, I was relieved after 6 hours of solid fishing.
Holy shit, I got it. Finally. Fuck. But I've still got one more. Oh. Can't keep doing this.
I have to admit though, the third and last fish isn't that rare at all. In fact, it's the most common of the legendary fish, having a 27% pull chance. The reason why it took me this long to fish up is because its minigame is this. Just bear in mind it's often 15 minutes to an hour between each attempt, so I didn't really have much time to practice at all. After several hours of attempts though, I managed to get it.
Finally! You'll never know how many attempts I did to get this bloody fish. Collection complete.
Now with my collection complete, all I had to get was a shiny legendary fish. Like in Pokemon, shiny fish are rare variants of existing fish that make their entry sparkle when caught, at the cost of being a lot harder to catch. The only issue is that the chance for fish to be shiny decreases with rarity, and legendaries only have a 1% chance of being shiny, which for reference is the same odds of getting a fortified regrow redfish. But it gets worse. Ninja Kiwi also decreased the shiny chance further for the Bloon Chipper, True Sun Cod, and fortified regrow redfish, which to spare you the maths, makes the chance closer to 0.8%. Now I'm probably the unluckiest gamer in history because this took hours. For context, during that time I blackboarded the lead pufferfish and gotten 3 fortified regrow redfish. But eventually, the unspeakable happened.
No fucking way. Yes, let's go.
Funniest part is, that was literally the second fish I pulled that day, and getting a chance to dunk on the one fish I struggled with the most made it even more satisfying. Now that leaves one last achievement. Hold your horses. No, that's literally the name of the achievement. It requires that I run a total of 100,000 tiles, which at this stage of the run I've only completed 34,000. From what I measured, the Sheriff runs approximately 2.33 tiles per second on dirt, so not accounting for stopping or turning, I had almost 8 hours left of straight running. Doing this manually would obviously drive me insane, but earlier in the playthrough I found a bug that allows you to permanently walk unassisted if you aim your mouse next to a wall like this one. So after 7 hours of AFK walking, I can officially say that I've 100% Frontier Legends. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. This was by far one of my biggest projects to date, hence why it took so long to make. For those who are curious, it took me about 12 hours to beat the campaign, an hour for all the elites, and around 16 hours grinding achievements. Please like and subscribe to pay condolences to the brain cells I lost grinding the final achievements. And now I need to see something other than the sheriff fishing or walking.
Bloody hell.